We begin, though, with President Trump weighing a potential U.S. intervention in the Middle East as Iran and Israel exchanged strikes for a seventh straight day. An Iranian missile hit a major hospital in southern Israel overnight, injuring dozens of people. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned that attack and appeared to make an appeal to President Trump while touring the aftermath.
President Trump will do what's best for America. I trust his judgment. He's a tremendous friend, a tremendous world leader, a tremendous friend of Israel and the Jewish people. And we will do what we have to do, and we are doing it. He gave them the chance to do it through negotiations. They strung him along. And you don't string along Donald Trump. He knows the game. And I think that we're both committed to making sure that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon, and they won't.
Meanwhile, Israel continues to target Iranian nuclear facilities and critical infrastructure with strikes across the country. The IDF released this video, which appears to show one of those targeted attacks. Now, this all comes on the heels of CBS News learning that President Trump has approved attack plans for Iran. However, we are told he has not yet decided if the U.S. will formally join in Israel's efforts as he waits to learn if Tehran will back down on its nuclear program. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt spoke about the president's thought process earlier today.
I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote, "Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks." That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
And for more on this, CBS News White House reporter Willie James Inman joins us now. He has more on the Trump administration's response to this situation that continues to escalate. Willie James, very good to see you. President Trump participated in another Situation Room meeting today. What more do we know about where things stand now?
Hey there, Nancy. Good to see you as well. Where we're learning that President Trump increasingly believes that destroying that top secret facility, I should say, that's underground for Dow, is increasingly necessary. I'll quote one source. He believes there's not much choice. That source said, finishing the job means destroying Fort Dow. The United States would use those bunker-busting bombs, essentially, to destroy that uranium enrichment facility in Iran. Israel does not have the capability to do so. And that's perhaps why you're seeing that direct appeal from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the Americans, to President Trump, here as the situation continues to escalate. Now, the White House, as Caroline Leavitt laid out there, is buying a little bit of time, 2 weeks. That's the timeline that we now have in terms of President Trump, in terms of whether or not he'll make a decision to get involved. He has approved those plans. He has seen those plans, but he hasn't made a final decision just yet. And this 2-week timeline essentially buys time for the negotiation process to play out, for Iran to come to the table. We know that U.S. officials, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, is meeting in these next few minutes with the UK Foreign Secretary, who is getting on a plane here from D.C. and heading to Switzerland with other European officials to meet with the Iranian foreign minister, perhaps to relay this message that the president laid out today via his press secretary. So the White House hoping for a diplomatic end to this situation as those tensions continue to rise in the Middle East, and questions swirl as to whether or not the U.S. will get involved in this conflict. Nancy.
Willie James, all this is happening as we're seeing some pushback against U.S. intervention from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. Is the president calling or considering calling a strike without the support of Congress? And if so, can lawmakers stop him?
Yeah, well, we did see at least one bill being proposed, supported by a Democrat and a Republican and others, I should know, in the House. We saw Ro Khanna, a Democrat from California, and Tom Massey, a Republican from Kentucky, propose this bipartisan legislation that would do just that. That would try to stop, essentially stop the president from carrying out military action against Iran. We, of course, know that Congress really does have the power to declare war, to officially declare a war against a nation. But it's increasingly hard to see through the see this, I should say, without the political lens that Republicans, of course, know that they were to come out against President Trump, that wouldn't curry them any favor with the president, though, Nancy.
Plenty more developments to come. Willie James Inman, thank you. And for more on this, we want to bring in CBS News Middle East reporter Courtney Healy. Courtney, thank you very much for joining us. I want to start by asking you about, first, let's start with that attack on an Israeli hospital that happened overnight. Israel's defense minister says that Iran's supreme leader will be held accountable for war crimes. How have Israel's goals shifted since the start of all of this?
Right. Well, Israel Katz, that Israel's defense minister, said we want to remove the threats to the state of Israel and destabilize the regime in Iran. He also said the supreme leader cannot continue to exist. Now, I have to say the supreme leader is not just a single entity. The supreme leader is elected by the Assembly of Experts, 88 appointed clerics by the council, the Guardian Council. So they don't just exist in a vacuum, even though they seem to have complete authority. There is a governmental clerical body underneath the Ayatollah.
Yeah, so it's not just one person.
Right.
Courtney, also a lot has been made, of course, about Israel's Iron Dome. Could it outlast Iran's missile launches? And does the Israeli military have the capability to continue stopping most of these strikes? I mean, it continues to escalate every single day now.
Right. So they're using the U.S.'s THAAD missile batteries that are helping. That's the defensive posture that the U.S. is taking. They do have USS warships stationed nearby to help shoot those ballistic missiles out of the sky. The Israeli military estimates that 400 ballistic missiles have hit inside of Israel, and they said about 1,000 drones have also attacked Israel. So this is a sizable number of a sizable missile that has gotten in, and we've never really seen anything like this before.
Well, unlike Israel's offensive with Gaza, and war with Gaza, there are several countries that separate these two nations, making a ground offensive significantly more difficult for both of these countries. How does that play into all of this, the planning of all of this, and how they move around tactically here?
Well, as we saw in Ukraine when they attacked Russia, there was this drone warfare that they'd smuggled into Russia, actually. And then we saw last Thursday, Friday, we found out that the Mossad, over 3 years, had smuggled drones in. They posed as truck drivers. They rented trucks. And they staged their own kind of secret military base where they accumulated all of this. So as the airstrikes were happening from the skies, the drones were going off on the ground. Car bombs were going off. There's always been more subterfuge involved in assassinations of nuclear physicists or nuclear plants being bombed, but nothing of this scale. And you can really see the change in warfare with drone warfare that did a lot on the ground while the airstrikes were coming from the sky. How much more they can do is the question. Are they still operating on the ground inside of the country? They seem to infiltrate Iran a lot more than Iran can infiltrate Israel. And Iran's proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas, have really been destabilized. So we're not seeing them fire into Israel.
A true multi-pronged approach to all of this. Courtney, thank you very much for joining us and staying on top of all of this. There appears to be some confusion over what the State Department is doing to help American citizens looking to leave Israel as tensions escalate. That is because the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, posted a message on X saying the U.S. embassy is working on evacuation flights and cruise ships. But the State Department says there is no announcement about assisting private U.S. citizens at this time. CBS News intelligence and national security reporter Olivia Gazis joins us now from the State Department. Olivia, thanks for being with us. At this point, where do things stand given all of this confusion? What is the State Department's plan to get U.S. citizens out of the region?
Well, Nancy, all we know at this stage, and we've been asking now for several days what the plans are, we just know that the State Department is working on them. Because you're right, the most that we know, the most detail we've gotten has come from the personal social media account of the U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, who has cited that the State Department is preparing charter flights, military flights, and cruise ship departures for American citizens wanting to leave Israel. We do not have any details from the State Department as to the timing or the circumstances surrounding those. What we do know is that the embassy in Israel is on authorized departure. Non-essential diplomatic staff have been departing along with their family members. But as regards private citizens, we have been asking, where are these departures from? When do they start? How many will there be? What kinds of family members are allowed to accompany American citizens who wish to leave? So far, the State Department has said we are working on it and pointed interested travelers in the direction of its Smart Traveler program, where they should enroll and stand by there for updates when they become available.
You bring up that program, Olivia. I guess that leads me to my next question. What can people who are currently in Israel do in order to get out?
So sign up for that Smart Traveler program first and foremost in order to get updates on other possibilities. Absent those other possibilities materializing, the State Department has been pointing travelers to land crossings. Via Jordan, there are 3, and via Egypt, there is 1. They are telling travelers that you need to be prepared with visa requirements in each location and that you need to be prepared for long delays and long lines at each location. In the past, Israeli travelers have been reluctant to use those land crossings out of concerns for personal security, but the State Department at this stage is saying that they are the best bet for those who want to depart immediately.
All right, Olivia Gazis, thank you very much.